Welcome to EPG Pathshala. My name is Dr. E. Sivanagi, former Director, National Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Management, and currently working as CEO, the Cultural Center of Vijayawada. Let us discuss today on the module called Dance and Music Tourism in India as part of the paper Tourism in India. To begin with the module, Indian music and dance can be classified under three broad headings, that is, the earliest form is tribal dance and tribal music, and again folk dance and folk music. Finally, the classical dance and classical music. Under these three categories only we can discuss whole lot of music and dance in India, and until the latest form, the fusion music has entered on the scene. The learning objectives of the module include knowing different forms of classical, folk music and dances in India, history and development of dance and music over a period of time in India, to know the importance of dance and music in the society, and lastly, to understand the role of dance and music in promoting tourism in India. The evidence of dance and music comes from the prehistoric times. If you closely look at the rock art paintings of India, as we have seen at Bhimbedkar, other sites, there is a scene depicting many people in merriment, dancing and singing, etc., which goes back to at least 12,000 BC. So, the dance history or music history goes back as the beginning of the mankind in India. On the other hand, as far as the literary evidences are concerned, we have very important evidence comes from the Vedic literature. Ever since the dawn of civilization in India, we have got music and dance as part of Indian life and culture. You all know that we got a beautiful small image of a dancing girl from Indus Valley civilization. It is the earliest bronze image, comes from the earliest civilizations of the world, that too from Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. This clearly reveals that people were engaged in their pastimes, particularly in music and dance. The range of musical and dance phenomenon in India extends from simple melodies, folk to classical dances and music in the world. Music tourism. For the past 3 decades, the term music tourism is appearing in the tourism literature as well as in the popular magazines also. In the West, whenever people are on their business trips or some personal vacation, they would like to visit a music festival in the name of music festival, and such music festivals are promoting tourism worldwide, particularly in the West and in Australia too. In India, it is a very recent phenomenon. During the 90s and 2000, the first decade of the millennium, there are a good number of music festivals organized throughout India, and they became very much popular, attracting youth and the senior citizens. Music tourism involves an act of visiting a city or a town to see and enjoy a music festival or music performances. Music tourism is a lucrative industry for many regions of the world. It refers to people traveling to a new area in order to attend a music show or concert or even a larger festival in which music is part of it. Whenever people purchase a ticket to enjoy a musical concert or a show or a music festival, they also visit historical places around, and by the activity they involve in tourism activity, and it will be what we call known as the music tourism. In India, now it is gaining ground. Sometimes in Mumbai or in Delhi or in Chennai, music festivals are concerned on a wider scale with a lot of publicity, so that it could attract not only domestic tourists but also the foreigners. There are references to various string and wind instruments as well as several kinds of drums and cymbals in the Vedas. Some date the advent of the system of classical Indian music to Amir Khusro, who introduced tabla and sitar on Indian scenario in 11th century AD. Muslim rulers and noblemen freely extended their patronage to music. You might be knowing that Akbar is known as a great patron of music and Tansen was his court musician. Similarly, in other parts of the country during the medieval times, most of the emperors and kings have musicians and dancers in their court as a part of their daily routine, and sometimes in the evenings or daytime they would like to listen to them or enjoy to their performances. In the courts of the Mughal emperors, music is said to have flourished, and Tansen was one of the jewels of Akbar's court as mentioned earlier. During the medieval time and late medieval times, India is known for a new movement called the Bhakti movement. The Bhakti cult gave rise to devotional songs, bhajans and other such genres which were very popular. In this case, we have got the lyrics of Surdas, Tulsidas and most particularly Kabir and Mirabai continue to be immensely popular in all parts of India without any distinction that these music composers belong to Central India or Northern India. At the same time, one cannot also ignore the trinity of the Carnatic music known Muthuswami Dikshitar, Syama Shastri and Tyagaraja as far as the classical Carnatic music is concerned. By the 16th century AD, the division between North India known as the Hindustani music and the South India known as the Carnatic music was clearly delineated in two types of musical streams in India. Classical music, both Hindustani and Carnatic, can be categorized as instrumental music and vocal music. Carnatic music is considered as one of the oldest classical music systems in the world. It is mainly prevalent in the southern states of Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. The system of ragas, that is, the melodic scales, and talas, the rhythmic symbols, are the basis of Carnatic music. It comprises of 7 rhythmic cycles, that is, what we call is the notations sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, and 72 fundamental ragas known as 72 Melakartas, from which all other ragas are considered to have originated. During the years which extend from 1930 to 1960, several Carnatic vocalists of greater skills rise to fame, namely D.K. Pattamal, M.L. Vasantakumari and M.S. Subbulakshmi are referred to as the female trinity of the Carnatic music of recent times. The leading male vocalists of Carnatic music were Muttaya Bhagavatar, Vasudevachar, known as Mysore Vasudevachar, Chintapalli Venkatrao, Asthan Vidwan, Chintapalli Ramachandra and Kanchipuram Naina Pillai. These are a few among great exponents of Carnatic music in South India. Now let us move to the Hindustani music. The Hindustani music, though India is known as the Hindustan, but as far as the music is concerned, the music that is prevalent in northern part of India is considered as the Hindustani music. Hindustani music is the North Indian style of Indian classical music. This music tradition has originated in the Vedic ritualistic chants which date back to more than 3000 years. Since the 12th century AD, it has undergone many changes in its form and renderings. The Hindustani music system was born out of a cultural synthesis of the Vedic chanting tradition and the ancient Persian tradition with various other folk traditions prevalent in northern India. The exponents in the field are awarded with the titles like Pandit for Hindus and Ustad for Muslims. Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan is the best example to cite in this case. Again, Pandit Bhimsen Joshi is the most prominent and legendary Hindustani vocalist of the yesteryears. Kumar Gandharva is another one known worldwide for his mellifluous musical tones and tunes. He is believed in being innovative by trying out his own new styles and never let any kind of gharana to tie him down from experimenting, though he was associated with many gharanas or schools of music. The new system that has entered into the scene of the Indian music is called Indian fusion music, though it is the Western origin. India has also welcomed the fusion music during the 1960s and 70s. Fusion trend is said to have begun with Ali Akbar Khan's 1955 performances in the United States. Indian fusion music came into being with rock and roll fusions with Indian music in the 1960s and 70s. Indian fusion music was limited only to Europe and North America. For some time, the stage of Indian fusion music was taken by Pandit Ravi Shankar, the sitar maestro. Pandit Ravi Shankar began fusing jazz, also known as the American jazz music, with the Indian traditions, along with Boot Singh, a jazz musician. Ghazal is another genre of music. Ghazal is a common and popular form of music in India and Pakistan. It is not a musical form but a poetic recitation which allures the audience. Today, it is commonly conceived as a Urdu song whose prime importance is given to the lyrics. Ghazal traces its roots in classical Arabic poetry. Ghazal grew from the Persian Qasida, a verse form that had come to Iran from Arabia around 10th century AD. With the coming of the Muslims, Ghazal got introduced in 12th century in India. It was imported to India from the 12th century and continued to be a most popular form up to the 18th century AD. Slowly and gradually, Ghazal acquired the local color and form. The most notable contributor to Ghazal music in India was the famous poet Amir Khusro, datable to 12th century AD. From then onwards, Ghazal came to enjoy widespread popularity among Indian Muslims and rulers for many centuries. Folk music of India. If you visit any part of India, you will never miss to enjoy the folk music available in different forms and shapes. Every region in India has its own form of folk music. This rich tradition is alive in not just rural India but also in some metro cities also. The realm of traditional folk music in India is very large and it is basically a countryside representation of the urban Indian society. Many people tend to mix up Indian folk music with tribal music sometimes just to have a wonderful mix of musical tunes. Folk music is very different from classical music as well. Folk music is more like a daily ritual without affecting the daily lives of the people. People learn it since their childhood and grow up on these songs. Most of the songs are sung in small village functions like weddings, birthdays, etc. Like dance, music also forms part of the tourism entertainment products, and Government of India and state governments are organizing music festivals to promote tourism. To cite one best example, Sirpur National Dance and Music Festival, similarly Khajuraho Music and Dance Festival, Mamalipuram Dance and Music Festival. These are some of the things to cite as examples for promoting tourism in the name of music and dance as cultural facets of India. Dances of India. Indian dances are in varied forms and styles. These forms originated in different parts of India, developed according to the local culture, traditions, and also imbibed elements from other parts of the country. Sangeet Natak Academy, the National Academy for Performing Arts, recognizes 8 distinctive traditional dances as Indian classical dances, namely Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Kathakali, Kuchipudi, Manipuri, Mohiniyattam, Odissi, and Satriya. Folk dances are numerous in number and style and vary according to the local tradition of the respective region, ethnic or geographic area. Dancing traditions of India influenced the dancing forms of Southeast Asia. Classical dances of India. To begin with, Bharatanatyam is believed to be the oldest dance form and the mother of all classical dance styles of India. The dance form originated from the temples and courts of Tamil Nadu. Devadasis, the women who were dedicated to the temples to perform dances, used to perform Bharatanatyam as a service to the gods. As the society changed and rule by the kings came to an end, E. Krishna Iyer and Rukmini Devi Arundel brought this dance form out of the temples and started performing on stages. In the 19th century, 4 brothers known as Tanjore Quartet musicians, namely Chinnaya, Ponnaya, Sivanandam, and Vadivelu, documented the dance forms, contributing to Bharatanatyam's status as a performing art. Today, Bharatanatyam is one among the popular classical dance forms of India and is widely performed by both male and female dancers. Instruments used in Bharatanatyam performance are mridangam, violin, veena, flute, and talam. Meenakshi Sundaram Pillai is the greatest exponent of Bharatanatyam, born on September 22, 1869. He followed a different style known as Pandanallur school of Bharatanatyam, which is known for its broad sweeping movements, framing of tirmanams with beautiful adavus. Some among his renowned students are Thiruval Puttur Rajalakshmi, Jeevaratnam, Pandanallur Jayalakshmi, Chokkalingam Pillai, Kandappa, his son Muttaya. Rukmini Devi, also known as Rukmini Devi Arundel, born on 28th February 1904, comes from a rich background of culture and learning, brought great changes in the field of Bharatanatyam by correcting the theory of dance and music. She also contributed in designing the costumes artistically and choosing exquisite jewelry and ornaments. She laid emphasis on selection of padams and highlighted the spiritual aspect of the contents. Kathak. The term Kathak means the art of storytelling. The Kathak dance form originated in northern India. Kathak dance assumed the form of courtly entertainment during the Muslim rule in India. During the period, dancing girls and courtesans emerged to entertain the palaces and courts. Influence of the medieval traditions imparted a Hindu-Muslim texture in this dance form. During the 19th century, Kathak rose to a status of classical art form and also started being considered as a form of entertainment among the kings and feudal lords. In the later years, gharanas or schools of Kathak emerged as important styles. Main focus in Kathak dance is on the footwork and is performed by both men and women. A Kathak dancer is free to alter the sequence of steps to suit his or her skill and style of dancing. The instruments used in Kathak are pakwas, tabla, harmonium, sarangi, and talam. The great exponents of Kathak include Pandit Brij Mohan Misra, leading Kathak exponent of the Lucknow Gharana. He has choreographed several new Kathak dances, thus taking the dance form to newer heights. He also founded a kalashram, Kathakali. Kathakali is considered as one of the oldest theatre forms in the world. It is a dance drama which originated in Kerala. The performances are based on Hindu mythology and the epics of Mahabharata and Ramayana. One of the most interesting aspects of this dance drama is the use of elaborate makeup code for each of the character according to their nature. Kalamandala Kesavan Nambudri is the greatest exponent of Kathakali dance. Born on January 1st, 1955 in Kolpuram Ilam, Kuruvattur was another exponent in Kathakali. He learned Kathakali from 1972 to 85 from Kerala Kalamandalam. He has also been trained in Tekkan Kathakali, that is South Kerala style, under the guidance of Mankombu Sivasankara Pillai and Kalamandalam Rajasekaran. Kalamandalam Gopi, born in the year 1937 in the village Kottachira, was initiated in Kathakali training by Guru T. Raunni Nair. Kalamandalam Gopi established himself as an outstanding Kathakali performer by playing all major Kathakali roles, and he excelled as Bhima, Arjuna and Nala. Mohiniyattam. Rekha Raju, who was born in Palakkad district of Kerala, is an exponent of Mohiniyattam. She was trained under various famous gurus and started giving performances from the age of 4. She has received various awards for her performances. She was critically acclaimed for her solo and group choreographies. Sundara Nair, who was born in Mumbai, is a famous Mohiniyattam dancer trained under Mohiniyattam exponent Dr. Kanak Rele. She is the first master's degree holder from Nalanda Nrityakala Mahavidyalaya. She also choreographed several Mohiniyattam performances. She is providing training in Mohiniyattam and Bharatanatyam and also the founder director of Shrutilaya Institute of Fine Arts. Kuchipudi. The term Kuchipudi is originated from the name of a village in Andhra Pradesh, Kuchelapuram. The origin of Kuchipudi can be traced back to 16th century AD from a dance drama form, namely Bhagavata Mela, which was practiced by the local Brahmins residing there. The credit of differentiating Kuchipudi from Bhagavata Mela goes to the great scholar and poet Siddhendra Yogi. From 1960s onwards, on-stage performances of Kuchipudi as a solo dance started. The main aspect which differentiated Kuchipudi from other classical dance forms is the faster movements. Now, let us discuss on the exponents of Kuchipudi. Raja Reddy and Radha Reddy, the world-renowned dancing couple, have given a new dimension to the age-old art of Kuchipudi without losing the traditional poetry or dramatic sensibility. In the year 1976, they established Natya Tarangini Institute, regarded as a temple for learning Kuchipudi dances in Delhi. Bhavana Reddy, born on 20th March 1990, was a dedicated learner of Kuchipudi dance and music. She is famous for her excellent expressions and rhythmic performance. She gives solo performances and takes part in dance dramas worldwide. Manipuri. This dance form originated and got its name from the place called Manipur. Manipuri dance is part of people's daily life in that particular part of the country. Performs as part of their ritual such as wedding and paying homage to the ancestors. Belief is that gods drained a lake in the beautiful countryside in order to find a place to dance. It is performed as solo and in groups. The important feature of the Manipuri repertoire are the Sankirtana, which is based on the devotion to Krishna and Radha, and the Rasalila, which is based on the cosmic dance of Krishna and the cowherd maidens, Gopikas. The instruments used in Manipuri dance performances are Phung and cymbals. Guru Bipin Singha was born on August 24, 1918 in a Vishnupriya Manipuri family. He chose the solo piece from the dance dramas and re-choreographed them for the stage. He was a pioneer in introducing solo dance performances in the Manipuri style. He founded Manipuri Natyalaya in Mumbai, Manipur and Kolkata in collaboration with his disciples Jhaveri sisters and Kalavati Devi. Professor Dr. Shruti Bandhopadhyaya is a well-known performer scholar in the dance field of India and is one among the leading exponents of Manipuri dance. She has performed in several national and international festivals. The number of productions which she choreographed brought her acclaim and honor worldwide. Odissi. The origin of Odissi can be traced back to the ancient northern Indian tradition, but particularly it is most famous and popular in Kalinga region, that is the current day state of Odisha. The name Odissi refers to the dance form of the Indian state of Orissa, now known as Odisha. The 20th century revival resulted in the present form of Odissi. Gradually, Odissi has become one among the most popular classical dance forms in India. Two major facets of Odissi dance include Nritta or non-representational dance, in which body movements are used to create ornamental patterns, and Abhinaya, a facial expression. The favorite themes for interpretation is divine love, tales of Radha, and the cowhead god Krishna. The technique in performing Odissi includes repeated use of the Tribhangi, where body is bent in 3 places. The music of Odissi is in Oriya language. Instruments used in Odissi are pakwas, tabla, harmonium, flute, and cymbals. Odissi dance exponents include Adya Kartikar is a disciple of Madhumita Raut and has undergone 2 decades of rigorous training under the Odissi exponents Guru Mayadhar Raut and Madhumita Raut at the Mayadhar Raut School of Odissi Dance at New Delhi. She has performed extensively as a solo performer and is currently engaged in reviving the traditional Odissi dance items. Aditi Bandhopadhyaya is a dancer, performer, choreographer and teacher of Odissi dance. Aditi has presented 176 solo dance recitals and has choreographed several dance productions. She is the creative director of Natyaneer, a dance institute she founded. Mohiniyattam. Mohiniyattam is originated in Kerala. The term combines 2 words, Mohini meaning woman and Attam meaning graceful body movement. Even though the dance form was originated in the 16th century AD, it was popularized in the 19th century by Swati Tirunal Maharaja of the state of Travancore and Vadivelu, one among the Tanjore Quartet. The dance form includes elegant movement of hips and gentle movement of body. The vocal music of Mohiniyattam is known as Chollu, which is written in a mix of Sanskrit and Malayalam. Satriya is again a northeastern dance form. The origin 15th century, when the saint poet Shankar Deva started an institution to bring harmony to the region of Assam through religion, creating forms of dance dramas, music, painting and collective prayer. The dance forms which came to existence during that period are called Satriya dance forms, which carry all the features of classical dance forms. These dances are performed in the Namghar, the prayer hall of Satra, by the celibate monks as part of their living tradition. The music is provided by khol drum, patital, Bortal symbol along with songs. Nowadays, these dance forms are presented on the metropolitan stages both as solo and group performances. The instruments used in Satriya are violin, cymbals, and khol, that is the drum. Let us now discuss on the folk dances of India. There are few folk dances that are well known for their styles like Dumhal, Bhangra, Garbha, Ghuman, Bihu, Pulikali, Garagatam, Dhalka, Rautanacha, etc. Dumhal, performed by the men folk of Wattal tribe of Kashmir. The costumes include long, colorful robes and conical caps. The performers move in a procession in the beginning and the dance is performed in circles. A drum and the vocal singing are the accompanying music for this music performance. Bhangra is a folk dance which originated in Punjab. Bhangra is performed on the day of Baisakhi to celebrate the success of harvest. People sing and play the dhol drum. Garbha. Garbha is a popular folk dance in Gujarat. This is performed during the occasions of Navaratri, Sharad Purnima, Vasant Panchami, Holi, and such other festival occasions. Ladies sing and dance around the goddess, clapping rhythmically. Ghumar. Ghumar is a famous community dance performed by women in Rajasthan. Ghumar is performed on different occasions like fairs and festivals. The costumes include ghagra, a long skirt of the Rajasthani women, which are rich in embroidery work and mirror work. Bihu. Bihu dance is a folk dance of Assam which is mainly performed during the festival of Bihu, performed by both men and women. The main features of Bihu are brisk dance steps, rapid hand movement, and a rhythmic swaying of the hips. Traditional Assamese clothing like dhoti, ghamocha, and chadar, mekhala, and so on are used in this folk dance form. Pulikali. Pulikali is a colorful folk art form of Kerala, the southernmost state of India. It is mainly performed during the occasion of Onam by trained artists. It is a 200-year-old folk art form which revolves around the theme of tiger hunting. Garagatam. Ancient folk dance very popular in the state of Tamil Nadu. The performers balance a pot on their head and dance to praise Mariamman, the rain goddess. This folk dance is categorized into two types: Attakaragam, where decorated pots are balanced on head while dancing, and Shaktikaragam, which is performed only in the temples as a spiritual offering. Dhalka originated in the state of Odisha, which is performed by women of the Sambalpur tribes during seasonal festivals. The dance includes vigorous movements and is accompanied by a set of particular musical instruments played by men. The Chaiti Gorha, a version of Dalkhai dance by a fisher folk community men. Raut Nacha. Raut Nacha is a folk dance form originated in the state of Chhattisgarh, performed in order to showcase a region's heritage during Diwali festival. This folk dance is mainly based on the battle theme, which was between the king Khansa and the people of Yadava community. Celebrates the victory over evils of the ancient times. India is rich in folk performances, widespread in almost all the states. If you go to Assam, you have a wonderful folk dance performance called Bihu. If you go to Punjab, there is again a wonderful rhythmic dance form called Bhangra. And the Gujarat state is known for Garba dance. Similarly, if you go to Tamil Nadu, Garagatam or Karakatam is very popular dance form. In Andhra Pradesh, Pulivesham or Puliattam or Pulikali in Kerala, in Karnataka, that is, the dancers made up themselves as tigers, and there will be hunters, and there is a melodrama between the tiger and hunter. See, as we move to other states of India, we have got plenty of the folk dance performances that really amuse and entertain the villagers in rural, remote areas. Let us sum up the module. Both dance and music has always been an important part of Indian life and culture. The range of musical and dance culture in India extends from simple folk melodies to what is known as the most well-developed system of classical dances and music in the world. The folk dances vary in number and style and vary according to the local tradition of the respective region, ethnic or geographical area. Music and dance play a very great role in development of tourism in India and promotion of Indian culture in a wider way. That is, Government of India and regional state governments are celebrating a good number of music and dance festivals to give a new lease of life to the artists and performers, so that people will enjoy the classical, folk and tribal music and dance forms very lively. These classical and folk music and dances are becoming major cultural tourism products in India and attracting large number of tourists to the country and contributing for earning great revenue. Government of India, Ministry of Tourism, in association with Ministry of Culture, are celebrating national dance festivals. The best such festival is Khajuraho Dance Festival, wherein almost all the exponents of all types of classical dances are invited to a single platform, in which it is publicized in almost all the national and international magazines, so that it is attracting huge number of tourists. Same is the case with other music and dance festivals celebrated throughout the country, both by Government of India and respective states. To conclude, music and dance form as the products of cultural tourism in India.